The day we cover Rook Exodus issue 5 has finally arrived. I know you guys have been waiting and anticipating this one for a while now, but before we proceed, I must inform you that this is the last time you're gonna see Rook for about a month because the next issue doesn't drop until October. Obviously, I'm gonna cover it when it does drop, but we're quite a ways away from then, so be patient. Nevertheless, with that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, the last issue ended off with Ursol infiltrating the Oasis, retrieving the wildlife grid, and then literally hurling Rook's body off of a massive dam. And what's so crazy and a really bold move for the writers is that Rook literally died, which leaves Donika as Exodus's only hope. And to your relief, I'm just joking, Rook's not actually dead, although he did think he was. He thought he died by drowning, but as he slowly regained consciousness, he not only realized that Pumbaa was standing right in front of him, but also that he was literally talking despite just being an animal. Rook was definitely freaked out by this, as Pumbaa continued showcasing his yap ability, but he told Rook not to worry and then thanked him for saving his life. And at this point, it's not really clear whether Rook is just delusional as a result of his massive plummet or if it's actually real, but regardless of whatever was happening, Pumbaa then told him that he pulled him out of the river, so he should be thanking him. In addition to pulling Rook out of the river, he also pulled the warden helmets out of the river as well, but as Pumbaa expressed how much he missed his best friend Swine, Rook continued refusing to believe this was real, indicating that it had to be because he hit his head. Moments later, his beliefs became irrelevant though, as a tree that was on fire came toppling his way, forcing him to dive out of the way. Him and Pumbaa both grew alarmed after realizing that Ursol was trying to burn them out of the forest. Immediately, Rook's mind went to his birds as he picked up his helmet, exclaiming that they could save them by finding a path to safety from the sky. But he was suddenly overwhelmed upon putting his helmet on and trying to establish their connection. The connection was so unstable that it was terminated just moments later while he desperately begged for their help. That's when the story throws us a curveball, because somehow Rook ends up back on Earth at his family farm, which definitely makes it apparent that he's hallucinating now. While standing in the middle of their crops, gazing upon the barn and the house, for some reason the birds began attacking him, using a bunch of rope to hang Rook in the air, the same way he used to hang up his scarecrows. He shouted at the top of his lungs for them to get away from him, but in the midst of doing so, the situation only escalated as the crops were set ablaze. As the world around him grew increasingly hotter, he powered his way off of the stand, discovering his father running out of the barn shortly after, provoking him to call his name, but to no surprise his father was unresponsive and proceeded dumping gas all over the barn, rapidly speeding the growth of the fire. So Rook tried asking him what he was doing, only for Pumbaa to answer for him by saying that his father was the one who destroyed the family farm. He wanted to leave Earth in his own way because despite being a 10th generation farmer, he knew an 11th generation was hopeless. Rook still refused to believe that though, even after bearing witness to this, but Pumbaa assured him that it was the truth, expressing that just like him and the birds always do, he chose flight instead of fight. Soon enough, Rook was hurled back into reality as one of the nearby trees almost collapsed on top of him. Despite how rapidly the fire was growing, Pumbaa continued trying to teach him a lesson, stating that Rook never chose to fight. He left the farm, he left Earth and Donika, and he wanted to leave Exodus as well. Rook wasn't worried about that though, telling Pumbaa he was cooked if he didn't start moving, but Pumbaa still continued scolding him nonetheless, saying that it wasn't the bird screaming in his head to fly away. If he listened closely, he'd realize that it's been him all this time. Flying away is what he wanted. The birds knew that, and they all knew that, because the animals felt what their wardens wanted. Nevertheless, as their escape carried forward, Rook was able to re-establish his connection to the birds, so they started guiding them towards an exit, but as the smoke started to clear and he could see the sky, Rook realized they were leading him to the edge of a ginormous cliff, and upon looking down towards the massive drop, his connection to the birds was terminated once again. Refusing to give up hope, he then linked their minds together one last time, demanding them for help because he knew there was a way to escape the fire. This time, it was gonna take everything he had, and pushing himself further than he'd ever gone before, so he opened himself up to the birds in a way he never had, sharing his fears with them and really trying to listen to them. But in the midst of doing so, he was interrupted by Pumbaa asking that what if giving up runs in his family. Like the forest beside them though, this only ignited Rook's flame, telling Pumbaa never to say that because the hallucination with his father wasn't the truth. He knew who his father was and knew he didn't start the fire. He died fighting to save the farm and every animal on it, and no fever dream was gonna change his mind about about that. This led to Pumbaa telling him, "You have faith in your father, so have faith in yourself and in your flock. Open up to them, share your insecurities, your loneliness and beliefs. Truly listen to them." With that being said, once again Rook established the connection, realizing that the flock had a leader for the first time ever, and he wasn't saying fight or flight, he was saying we are fight and flight. So Rook finally took the leap of fate, diving off the monstrous cliff as the flock immediately rushed to his side, guiding him through the air and allowing him to fly. But then unfortunately, it's revealed that Rook was only hallucinating once again, and everything that just happened, including Pumbaa talking, was due to a feedback error caused by interference from the wildlife grid under Ursaw's control, which is honestly kind of a letdown. I thought him flying was pretty cool, but either way, soon after that, nothing short of a miracle happened as the skies began pouring out with rain, instantly calming the fire in the process. And despite a lot of what just happened not being real, Rook definitely learned a lot of lessons and was closer to his flock now, stating he could hear the flock leader while promising to sacrifice everything he had to save the animals on planet Exodus, just like his dad did on the farm. But sadly, that's when this issue comes to an end. But if you guys want to see what happens next, let me know in the comments down below.